Hello friends, today I'll be presenting you with the crash course for basic concept of blood grouping and compatibility. So before starting, we must know that classically there are four blood groups. They are blood group A, blood group B, blood group AB and blood group O. So starting off, we need to understand antigens, antibodies, their location and their functions. Antigens. Antigens are present in the surface of RBC and are also known as surface markers. They trigger an immune response, whereas antibodies are present in the plasma and they interact with antigens and produce transfusion reactions. So, in these slides, I have represented A antigens by a blue circle, whereas B antigen by blue triangles. Note that the antigens determine the blood group. The antigens present on the RBC determines the blood group. So, if a person has blood group A, his RBC will also have A antigens, whereas his plasma will contain anti-B antibodies. Similarly, if a person has B blood group, his RBC will have B antigen and his plasma will have anti-A antibodies. In the case of AB, a person with AB blood group, his RBC will have AB antigen but no antibodies in the plasma, whereas if a person has O blood group, his RBC will have no antigen and anti-A and anti-B antibodies in the plasma. Note that for safe transfusion reaction, there must not be antigen-antibody reaction. Now, let us take the example of compatibility. Here, in the first example, recipient has blood group A, whereas the donor has blood group B. Hence, the recipient has anti-B antibodies in plasma, whereas the donor has A antigen in the surface of RBC. Hence, no transfusion reaction occurs. Similarly, in the second example, recipient has blood group A, whereas donor has blood group B. So recipient has anti-B antibodies in plasma, whereas the donor has B antigen in the surface of RBC. Hence, transfusion reaction occurs. So, moving on to the third example, the recipient has blood group B and the donor has blood group A. Hence, the recipient has anti-A antibodies in its plasma and the donor has A antigen in the surface of RBC. Hence, the transfusion reaction occurs again and they are non-compatible. Now, let us take an example of blood group AB as the donor and recipient as blood group B. So, a person with blood group B has anti-A antibodies in the plasma and the donor with AB blood group has both antigen A and B, represented by blue circles and blue triangles. So what happens is the anti-A antibodies present in the plasma will react with A antigen of the blood group AB. So transfusion reaction occurs again and the blood group is non-compatible. And finally, we are taking the final example of the recipient being O blood group and the donor being AB. So what happens is the person with O blood group has both antibodies, antibody A and antibody B in plasma, whereas the AB donor has A and B antigen represented by blue circles and blue triangles respectively present in the surface of RBC. Hence, the anti-A and anti-B antibodies will react with A and B antigen present in the donor RBC. Hence, transfusion reaction occurs. In this table, we can see that person with A blood group has antigen A, represented by small circles, blue circles around the surface of RBC, and antibody B. So hence it is compatible with blood group A and O. Person with B blood group has B antigen represented by triangular blue circles on the surface of RBC and has anti-A antibodies in the plasma and is compatible with blood group B and O. Similarly, AB has both A and B antigen. There is no antibody present in the plasma and is compatible with blood group A, blood group B, blood group AB, and blood group O, hence confirming that AB is a universal recipient. Finally, we are talking about blood group O. In blood group O, we can see that it does not have any antigen present, so hence called universal donor. And the antibody present is antibody A and antibody B, and it is only compatible with blood group O itself. Now finally we have the Rh factor. Rh factor determines if your blood group is positive or negative. If they are present in your RBC surface like these black dots that I have represented them with, then your blood group is positive, but blood type is positive. If they are absent, they are negative. Here in these RBC I have made a red spike like structure, and if they contain the black dots, they mean that they are Rh positive, and if they don't contain those kind of black dots, they are Rh negative. If the blood group, a person with a blood group A has Rh factor, then he is said to be A positive. If he does not have the Rh factor, he is said to be Rh negative. Now it specifies the blood compatibility even further. Finally, a person with A positive blood group is compatible with a person with A positive, A negative, O positive, and O negative. Similarly, a person with B blood group is compatible with B positive, B negative, O positive, O negative. Also, a person with AB positive is compatible with every blood group, literally every blood group, and O positive is compatible with O negative and O positive. Whereas if the Rh factor is absent, blood group is said to be negative, and what happens is this this reduces the window for compatibility, such as if a person with A negative blood group, he is only compatible with a person with A negative and O negative. B, a person with B negative is only compatible with B negative and O negative. Similarly, a person with AB negative is only compatible with A negative, B negative, AB negative, and O negative, whereas O negative is only compatible with O negative. I hope you guys understood the concepts of blood grouping, and let me know if I should make more videos on medical topics. Till then, see you. Bye bye.